Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse April 3rd, only on Netflix.
The number one selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Hi, this is Fat Mike from NoFX.
Hi, I'm actress Ann Mahoney.
Hey, friends, this is Hillbilly Jim. Hi, this is Kyle Dunbar from Ink Master, Season 3 and 4. Hey, this is Showdown Joe Frog.
Hey, everyone, this is Jessica Kiernan.
Hey, it's Ryan.
I'm Molly, and we're from Mother.
Hey, it's Shelby Chong, and I'm a Canadian from Vancouver.
Yo, what's up? This is me, DMC, and a place to be right here listening to the Toddcast Podcast.
The Toddcast Podcast is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Whether you like it or not, women in powerlifting face criticism that's rooted in outdated gender norms. It's getting better, but it still happens. They're told that lifting heavy weights will make them too bulky or less feminine. Their techniques are questioned. They may have to deal with condescending advice or outright discouragement. Now, despite this, female powerlifters continue to break barriers. They challenge stereotypes and inspire other women to embrace lifting. Such is the case with one of our guests this week, powerlifter Maria Blacutt, who talked about the criticism she faced early on in her career, and she shared some great motivational advice as well.
You know what? Motivation is fickle, and sometimes it never even comes. Some people hate the gym so much, they'll never be motivated to go to the gym. Never. So what you have to do is think, I'm never going to feel like going to the gym, so I'm just going to have to go anyway.
Just
and I
go.
know who the hell feels like right now I have to go do legs. I have to go squat, and it's snowing and it's cold outside and it's miserable. I have to put on my winter coat. I could be having my coffee here. You think I feel like going to train? Hell no.
Joining powerlifter Maria Blacutt, she is a name tied to talent, a career shaped by the roles she's played. Sunfish actress Brooke Butler is a guest this week.
The job is learning how to process how to say no. So if you can't process saying no, it's just not for you. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. I mean, I'm still striving, and I'm, no becomes, okay, next.
Not too bad, right? A Sundance Film Festival accredited actress, a social media influencing powerlifter, and you will hear from this week's musical guest in just a second, the frontman of one of Canada's best rock bands, a trio forged in blues and rock with seamless precision. My name is Todd Hancock. Appreciate you being along for the ride. Yet another Toddcast made possible in part because of support from our seamless precision. My name is Todd Hancock. Appreciate you being along for the ride. Another Toddcast made possible in part because of support from our title sponsor, Citywide Mortgage Services. Crazy times right now, right? With tariffs, the chatter of Canada becoming the 51st U.S. state, which will never happen, by the way. Mark Carney now Prime Minister. How will that affect market rates? This is all the stuff that Citywide knows well. I've known one of their owners, Dara, for a few years now. He's a good buddy. He's great at what he does. He helped me to get the best rate for my mortgage renewal back in January. Super simple, like talking straightforward. A couple phone calls, a couple emails, and done. Basic stuff. If you need a trusted mortgage advisor, talk to my good buddy Dara. He will dial you in. Citywide Mortgage Services. Okay, so coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, Billy Idol guitarist Billy Morrison talks about his career highlights. He's had so many. As always, that's powered by our good buddies the last 9 years. 9 straight years. Tedco RV Supplies out in Langley. RV service and repairs. They are ICBC accredited. Their support of this podcast over the years is a real mind blower. Find them online through Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, let's get to the first of 3 guests this week. Our musical guest, Wide Mouth Mason singer Shaun Verreault. Inducted into the Western Canadian Music Hall of Fame last year, 2024. Here's a band you've known since the mid-90s. Midnight Rain and My Old Self were big radio songs. Their sound is unmistakable. Blues, rock, some funk. Everyone is a killer musician in the band. They've shared the stage with some huge bands. AC/DC, the Rolling Stones, ZZ Top, which he talks about in the full interview. So it was an immediate thing for Shaun, right? Picking up the guitar he was able to play, or was that a bit of a grind?
Good question. I started on acoustic when I was 10, and struggled off the beginning. It hurts your fingers. It makes you feel stupid. Everything else you do when you're 10 is like, I can play Lego. As soon as I start playing Lego, guitar was tough. And I was on the cusp of kind of falling out of love and giving up on it. And then one day I had the flu and I had to stay home. And I had the guitar in my room and something clicked, and I looked at it as something I could play with rather than another source of homework, another thing I had to do. And I would just like sing into the sound hole and hear how it sounded like reverb and strum behind the nut and the tuners where it would go pring and go, ooh, that's a cool sound. And little by little, it emerged as a thing I could play with and have fun with and play in unorthodox ways, rather than just, here's the music, here's additional homework you have to do as a 10-year-old. And that kind of started things. And then I heard at the same time, Purple Rain, the album had come out. So, the beginning of When Doves Cry and the end of Let's Go Crazy just blew my head off. And I want to have to learn how to do whatever that guy is doing on those 2 songs. And that lit the fire the most.
You got to love that Shaun was so candid with his response. We talked for 65 minutes, by the way. He was outside his daughter's dance class in his car, I guess killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You can hear it, you can see it at our iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Megaphone, wherever you get podcasts, I suppose. YouTube, if you want the video version of it. They're all at Toddcast Podcast, of course. Getting into all sorts of things with Shaun as well. We talked about local Vancouver band Mother and social media, the Canucks, and the NHL trade deadline came up, Canadian patriotism, his love of Prince.
And I was right at the, probably too young for some of the subject matter, but as a young guitar player, I remember I did Darling Nikki at the first Toddcast live podcast hang we did.
That's right. You did Darling Nikki, yeah.
And he just, the imagination and the fact that it was its own universe. Like he looked different every record. He played different guitars for every record. And he was really eclectic. It's like, what style of music is he? Well, he's Prince, so there's rock
all over
and
the map,
funk
and he's got a
pop.
female drummer, and it's just he's just stood out among the rest, and rightfully so, right? Like, so do you remember where you were when you heard that he passed?
I do, yeah. I was I'd played the night before. And he died early enough in the morning that I woke up to my phone just blowing up. Everyone knows what a massive Prince fan I am. So that morning I woke up I saw messages before I saw the news of, my wife and friends going, I'm so sorry. I know how much he meant to you. And it was devastating just to think of the work that wouldn't happen as a result of him dying, because he was so prodigious, and where a lot of people at that point in their careers fall into kind of greatest hits or okay, here's what the live shows are going to be like forever now.
Mm-hmm.
He had just done the solo piano tour, which he'd never done before. The tour before that was the last time I saw him, where he did the Third Eye Girl trip with the three-piece band and him. That was the most guitar playing, the most Hendrixy he'd ever been in his life. So I feel, ripped off that we don't get to see what else he would have done. But in the wake of it, because he was so controlling about any videos of him or any music coming out, all these performances that I'd never seen before, either the estate or the people who had made them, knowing that he wouldn't be coming after them to pull it down, started putting out so many performances that I'm still finding stuff I hadn't seen and introducing my daughter to it. And yeah, what a genius and what a life's work, and so inspiring to me.
Yeah, because you're right. He continually pushed himself throughout his whole career, right till his death.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that he's also written a ton of great songs for other people.
Right.
Like, it's not just his body of work. He's just a master, period.
Yeah. It was just, sleeping 3 hours a night and being in the studio anytime he wasn't on stage. It's really a model for, and I have other things in my life that keep me from doing that. But the idea of living out on the edge of your capabilities all the time, rather than rolling softly into the middle where everything is easy. I've always wanted to push myself musically and as a singer and as a player, and branching out into different instruments. I mean, I'll never match his list of any instrument he could sit down on if he showed up and a band was playing and just crush on it. But I'm expanding out into other stuff beyond guitar and find it super inspiring.
Don't you just love that? Hearing somebody talk about their love of another artist and how real and how genuine it is. We've been lucky over the years to have done a handful of shows with Shaun Verreault. I think he's done maybe 4 or maybe even 5 shows with us. The performance, the interviews, and we've known each other since the early 2000s. I remember seeing Wide Mouth Mason play in Prince George back when I was doing a radio show at a station called the Max FM 94. So it was cool to nail down Shaun and finally get him on as a guest of the podcast, talking about COVID and what his world was like at that time. Trump's tariffs came up, seeing NXS in concert, growing up to the Beatles, Steve Miller, Air Supply, and the story of how Big Sugar played a big part in his band's success.
We did a gig in Saskatoon, and our manager at the time just goaded Gordie Johnson, because Big Sugar were headlining it, going, "You need to see my band. You need to see my band." And to make him go away, he said, "I'll come watch the first couple songs from the soundboard." And at the end of it, he came in our dressing room and went, "What are you guys doing for the next month and a half? I want you to open our tour." And Dig in a Hole had just come out, and they had a sold out tour across Canada from coast to coast. And that was the seed of our audience across the country. We'd gotten in fighting shape from playing all these little places that people were angry at the color of 2/3 of the band's skin in. And we were ready when there was a room that was geared a little bit toward us. It was fish in a barrel compared to what we'd been doing. And then from there, the first couple singles came out, and you remember it was a totally different music industry then, right? Every city had a rep from every record company who had relationships, and there were multiple weekly newspapers and daily newspapers and breakfast TV shows. So we just did all that stuff, man. We do promo for hours around every show, and then go hang at a Seafox or something, talking to people after sound check, and then head over to the gig, and built it up one person at a time.
What a great story, hey? The tenacity of a manager, the live show blowing Gordie Johnson's mind. I personally think it's just so cool. I almost didn't include this next clip in this podcast and kind of left it for the full conversation on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. But I think it's just so powerful that it would be a disservice to not include this. Both of Shaun's parents recently passed away, and he brought that up.
it wasn't like a I'll follow you into the dark situation where they were together and then one died and the other one, I can't live without you. They've been divorced for decades and with new partners who were amazing, and it just was a coincidence. So
oh wow,
I think you never get over it, but it becomes like a passenger and a part of you and in all the decisions that you make in your life, I feel like. And people either I think it was Nick Cave who was talking about this, you either harden around the void where they no longer are, or it breaks you open into a million pieces and you start to appreciate beauty even more. You start to hug people you're hugging for even longer because you know how quickly things can change, and you start to really look at your entire life and what's important to you and what's meaningful, and make sure that you lean into that. So in many ways it's been really beautiful, the connection with the rest of your family that happens, the connection with my wife and daughter as a result of it. There's been some really deeply amazing results from it beyond just the grief and loss and where younger me would have been like in danger of trying to put it off or trying to just keep myself busy and not think of it. Did you ever watch the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling?
Yeah.
The Judd Apatow, who worked on the Larry Sanders Show, the family gave Gary's journals to, and he made a 3-part series or something about it. And he was talking about his brother died when he was little, and his family just didn't know what to do about it. They just clammed up and no one ever spoke of it again. And they, had started to manifest itself in different ways, like unhealthy choices or drinking problems or dying of stress and that kind of thing. And he said, if someone had just pulled me aside and went, "Oh, the grief is coming. Let's just sit with it for a while. Let's sit down in the middle of this and feel everything there is to feel without turning away from it, without running away, and just sit. When it passes, your brain will give you all these endorphins and uplifting feelings as a result of going down deep into this." So he was like, I wish someone had done that. So when my dad died, his partner's daughter called me. I was hanging out. It was late night on a Thursday, and she went, "Your dad's collapsed. The paramedics are here working on him. I'm speaker phoning you into my mom who's with him's phone on my boyfriend's phone so you can be there." And they were working on him and telling us what was happening. And then the moment they said, "It's been a half hour, we have to call it. We're not going to be able to resuscitate him," and this very clear voice in my brain said, "Listen, your operating system is going to be really overwhelmed right now, and it's going to spit out all kinds of responses to this. Some painful, some unfair, some why didn't you do this, some hey, you should have done this differently." And I had this really clear voice in my head going, "You're sitting by a stream, all this wreckage is going to float by, and you're producing all this wreckage, but you're not responsible for holding on to all of it. So if something comes by that's of use to you and kind to your heart, pull it out and hold on to it. Remember that moment of my dad and my daughter. Remember this talk we had. Remember this thing we did. If something goes by, hey, remember that time you didn't hang out with him when you could have, or you didn't call him when you should have, just let that shit float by, and you don't need to hold on to it." So in the process of going through all this, it's that's been a constant thing that's started to seep into other parts of how I examine my life. Of if things are finite, if things can turn around in a second, how do you want to live, and what's important to you, and what do you hold dear, and what do you want to spend your energy and your time on? None of us are getting any younger. and what do you want to do in your time while you're here? It's been a really meaningful time in a bunch of different ways.
Red Truck Beer. Nothing delivers like a red truck. Official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
I'm inside of your head. I'm just a monster living under your bed. I'm just an animal, I'm trapped in a cage. I am the nightmare living today. So turn the lights out and carry me home. Headstones, old bones will mark you down. I'm just a monster, this is fight or flight. I'm just a monster, there's no wrong or right. I've been to paradise and I blasted dry. I leave you bleeding under the night. Turn the lights out and carry me home. Headstones, old bones will mark you down. So shut the lights out and pray for your soul. Headstones, old bones will mark you down. I'm just a monster, I'm inside of your head. I'm just a monster living under your bed. I'm just a monster, this is fight or flight. I'm just a monster, there's no wrong or right. I'm just a sinner and I'll sinner again. I'm just a killer, there's nothing to win. Don't need a preacher to wash it away. I'm just a monster, I got nothing to say. Turn the lights out and carry me home. Headstones, old bones will mark you down. So shut the lights out and pray for your soul. Headstones, old bones will mark you down.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
You've seen and heard guitarist Billy Morrison in so many cool bands and projects. Remember Royal Machines? That cover band with big players, Dave Navarro, Chris Chaney of Jane's Addiction, Josh Freese of Foo Fighters, Donovan Leitch hosts. Billy was in Camp Freddy, basically that same lineup, just a different name. And Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots was in that band as well. Billy's toured with The Cult. He fronts Circus Diablo, and of course he's one of Billy Idol's guitarists. And when Billy jumped to Zoom with us, we talked about all things music, like music videos and how they changed the game, like Friday night videos, Good Rockin' Tonight, must-watch TV back then. He talked about Metallica's drummer Lars Ulrich, doing a radio show on Sirius XM with Ozzy Osbourne, the autobiographies that he loves. We even touched on his drug use a little bit and getting sober. I believe this year is his 30th year of sobriety. And we got into all sorts of other things as well, like Supermoto, the Kansas City Chiefs, his artwork, how that's hung in prestigious places. Aliens came up, so did binge watching Game of Thrones, the creepy baby reindeer. And Billy shared career highlights with us as well, playing Wembley, MSG, Rock in Rio. Listen to this.
I mean, you can do top 5. You can't nail down one thing. I mean, going back to England to play Wembley. Wembley is the big one. You play Wembley, it's a big word. And I went back with Billy a couple of years ago and played Wembley, which felt amazing. I think playing Madison Square Gardens felt the same here. Done that a couple of times. And Rock in Rio is wow. You know?
I heard that for whatever reason, that those crowds are so like it's almost like they're infectious, you know, like
they are.
One
South
person
America,
gets to the next and the next, and suddenly like it's just fucking out of control.
I'm lucky enough to have been to South America many times because I've also gone with Ozzy and Black Sabbath, and there is something special about South America. They are, and they know that. So there's this cycle of we think it's great down there and they want to be best for us. And so they go absolutely nuts for rock music. Which is, it's so great touring.
Singing and dancing and jumping. Like the crowds are something else, man.
It's really cool.
Listen to This on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
You're so high, I could fall forever, but I'll fly away with you. You're so caught in the stormy weather, but we'll be sailing soon. Yeah, I know, I feel it too. Yeah, I know, I feel it too. You're so sad, I could cry a river that's floating to the blue. You're so mad, I could catch on fire, but I will burn with you. Yeah, I know, I feel it too. Yeah, I know, I feel it too. So hang in there, baby, just wait, don't let go, don't you know, you amaze me, take it up, pull me close, up and away we go. You're so scared I could hide wherever as long as I'm with you. You're so deep I can feel the pressure, but our diamond's coming soon. Yeah, I know I feel it too. Yeah, I know I feel it too. So hang in there, baby, just wait, don't let go, don't you know, you amaze me, take it up, pull me
is Josephine, and a new song for her. It's new to the podcast as well. It's called Up and Away, and I'd be willing to bet that you will see that one at our next live show, our next Blue Light Sessions. It's the last Friday of the month, so on Friday, April 25th, at the Blue Light Studio in beautiful East Vancouver, Volume 37, Josephine and Claire Twitty. We're going to play something from Claire in just a bit. They will both get that 45-minute set, the interview, the performance. You can ask questions as well of the band. It's not just me. Intimate, interactive, buy early and save money. It's only $20 right now through eventbrite.ca. Event, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca. Search Toddcast. You can't miss the shows. If you want to gamble and wait and hope there's tickets at the door, it's 25 bones, okay? Doors are at 7 o'clock. Show starts at around 8:15-ish. And hopefully we'll see you there. Grab a ticket, come support live music here in Vancouver. I played you a new song from Coster. That's called Monster. And then here's another Vancouverite who relocated, this time to Toronto, crushing their scene. He's deep in Broken Love's circle as well. Absolutely killing it. Stoked for a good buddy to be doing so well. Coming up shortly, and stop me if you've heard this before, Vancouver Dispensary Society founder Dana Larson shares the story of the first time that he smoked marijuana. That is powered by the Home Dwell Group, longtime friends of the podcast. Oddly enough, first time I smoked weed was with one of their operating partners who I've known literally since elementary school. Trust that he will have your back. You're buying a home, maybe you're selling your house. Contact Kyle, my good buddy Kyle, right now through homedwell.ca. Homedwell.ca. He'll make the process as painless as possible. First, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week, our sporting guest, powerlifter Maria Blacutt. That's powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best online dispensary for cannabis, psilocybin, psychedelics. You can shop now through sacredmeds.co. Talking weed, mushrooms, edibles, vapes, DMT, oils, dabs, CBD, hash, and a whole bunch more. It is an insane site, sacredmeds.co. So as mentioned off the top, athletes in unconventional sports often face outdated criticism, yet they break barriers, proving skills have no limits. Despite skepticism and discouragement, they push forward and inspire other people. Maria is definitely one of those people. She's an inspiration. She's talking about how she's 57 years old, still super fit, and how her fitness routine has only changed slightly over the years.
Hell yeah. You know what? Muscle is the organ of longevity. And more scientists are discovering that muscle is really the key to a healthy aging.
What would you say are the main differences of your fitness life? Like say from the 20s to, well, you're damn near 60 years old now. So you're like, don't say that. So what has been the main differences as you're kind of going through your life? And I guess, and also conversely, what are also the things that have been the same, the threads that have been the same?
You know what? A lot of people think that you decline drastically as you age, and that's not true. And not only is it in my case, I've seen it in other lifters and other athletes as well. It's all here. It's all how you see yourself. So for me, I've been a lifter, so that means I'm a bodybuilder. I've lifted weights my entire life. I've transitioned a little bit from bodybuilding to powerlifting in the last 10 years, and I can explain the difference to you if you're not sure what it is. My strength hasn't gone down. Isn't that amazing? Like I lift more or less the same as I lifted when I was 20. The only thing that has changed, and I know this happens in a lot of older adults too, is my recovery time. So I do a set, and before I used to maybe take a couple of seconds and bang, go for it again, like a heavy set. Now I take a little bit more. I take a few minutes. So my work takes a little bit more time, but I'm still as strong. And that's a big one.
I'm not wrong, right? It's crazy that her routine hasn't really changed all that much over the years. The Full Talk with Maria is everywhere online. All the usual suspects, Toddcast podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, YouTube. And great to really get into it with her. Talking about binging Scandal and Sex in the City, what her cheat foods are, the importance of setting goals. And this is absolutely nuts. She says her metabolism hasn't changed her whole life.
You know what? It hasn't. And I know I'm going to get hate from this because a lot of people say, yeah, your metabolism slows down. But I've actually looked at the scientific research of menopause. And your metabolism doesn't slow down that much. It does slow down. I'm not going to negate that, but it doesn't slow down. What slows down is us. We slow down because you all of a sudden begin thinking, I'm too old to train. I'm too old to go to the gym this many times. I'm too old to do what I used to do. And you slow down. I slow down. That's what changes. If you keep up your training to a good level, your metabolism doesn't slow down that much.
I don't know. I feel like mine did. Like I feel like mine at about 35, maybe 40-ish, like I started to gain weight. I couldn't get it off. I can't get it off, I guess. And, I have younger kids. I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, and keeping up with them at the very start was like, chasing cats, essentially, right? And I was still unable to, put the weight off. I would put it on.
Let me ask you a question. Were you equally as active at 35 as you were at 25? Like, do you feel that you've kept up your activity level, your gym level? That's it.
No, but as soon as I had kids, I was as active as I was at 25 at 40.
But you know what? There's a difference between running around after kids, and I have 3 kids. I know what it's like, and actually going to the gym or working out. There is a difference. It's a different kind of activity level.
Yeah, totally. What I mean is like, hey, Dad, let's go play road hockey, and playing road hockey every single day for hours at a time. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's that. It's not necessarily going to the gym, but it's, staying active, staying fit, and having a bit of that lifestyle, like going up snowboarding or taking the kids on a long walk on the North Shore, or, you know what I mean? Or grabbing the bikes and just going for a haul somewhere. Like we still do that, but I just can't, like, I was always about 190, like 6'2", 190. I'm about 230 now, and I just can't get it off.
Are you eating enough protein?
Probably. Well, I think what it is for me, like I know what it is. It's the 11 o'clock at night, snacking on chips and,
I think, what, as a lot of people age, they get into the fuck it mentality. And I'm certainly not food shaming. Everybody's, but you can't entirely blame your metabolism. The fuck it mentality is when you say, fuck it, I'm 58. I'm just going to have those chips. Bring on the wine. So I haven't adopted that fuck it mentality, and I don't plan to. Like, I'm still eating very mindfully and getting my exercise done. I haven't slowed down. Having said that, it takes me a little bit longer to recover, but I haven't gotten into that, I don't care mentality. So don't let yourself get into that. You still got it. We're still pretty damn young.
I feel young.
Yeah.
Like overall.
If it takes you a little bit longer to get through a workout, it takes you a little bit longer. But just keep going and don't get into the habits that are going to screw you over, like having your 11 o'clock chips.
Right? Like my metabolism shifted in my mid-30s. Just no way around it, really. Did I exercise less? Maybe. But once kids came into my picture, was definitely more active, and yet it is impossible to keep the weight off at this point. I guess it's probably all the 11 o'clock at night eating junk food. It's probably not helping out very much. Maria talked about family life. We talked about seeing AC/DC in concert. What goes into her meal planning? Sports like football and soccer came up.
I mean, I like to watch the Olympic Games. I'm Bolivian. I watch soccer, that sort of thing. Yeah. I love going to watch hockey because, like, I like the ambiance. I don't even understand hockey that well because I didn't grow up in Canada, remember? Right. I didn't actually grow up. So I go to the games, I have a beer, I eat a hot dog, and I sort of understand it. There's always some sod there who will explain the game to me a little bit more, but yeah.
That's great.
Football. Okay. My son goes to a big football school. So I do watch football just because he's in a football school.
Toddcast Podcast sporting guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best online dispensary for cannabis, psilocybin, and psychedelics. Shop now at sacredmeds.co.
time when the snow comes down, time will freeze while my demons come out. Suffocating winter's breath, dissipate all I have left. Kneel at the surface in spite of purpose, I'm trying to forget. I'm trying to forget. I am deciduous, dying with the change of seasons. I can feel the rush of cold air against my skin, and wish I could be an evergreen. Wish I could see the changing of the leaves. Wish I could be an evergreen. Wish I could see the changing of the leaves. I am deciduous. I am deciduous. I am deciduous. I'll get by until the wind in my hair starts to freeze and instead leaving me in despair. I am deciduous. I'm sick of feeling like I've got nothing left. Always stuck in my head, fated to live with regret. I'll get by until the wind in my hair starts to freeze and instead leaving me in despair. I am deciduous. I'm sick of feeling like I've got nothing left. Always stuck in my head, fated to live with regret.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Growing up in the 90s, there was no way you thought that weed would ever be legalized in Canada. Short story, the first time that I smoked weed, I ran from the cops. Thankfully, there's people like author, politician, and activist Dana Larson. Dana is a key reason that marijuana is now legal in Canada, the long drawn-out battle to legalize. He was the editor of Cannabis Culture from its creation in 1994 through to 2005. He's the founding member of both the Marijuana Party of Canada and the BC Marijuana Party. In 2005, Dana founded End Prohibition NDP Against the Drug War, which was instrumental in passing drug policy resolutions. He founded the Vancouver Seed Bank in 2006, then released Harry Pothead and the Marijuana Stone in 2007. Great name. Dana started the Vancouver Medicinal Cannabis Dispensary in 2008. Then, in 2012, he launched the Sensible BC campaign to decriminalize cannabis possession in BC. Like I said, he's a key reason that you can smoke weed in Canada without having to watch over your shoulder. And stop me if you've heard this before. Dana shared the story of the first time that he smoked marijuana.
I was in between grade 11 and grade 12, so I guess I was just coming into, I was around 18.
Is there any story in the
well,
first,
I tried alcohol and tobacco beforehand, and when I tried cannabis, I knew that this was something I really liked and I was going to do a lot of over the rest of my life. I didn't necessarily know it was going to be so all-encompassing, but it was. I smoked at a Pink Floyd concert. That was one of the first times, and that was my older brother, and that was a memorable experience. And but I always knew that cannabis, was something that I think was going to be with me for a long time. And it's such a positive thing for so many people's lives. You know, using cannabis for the vast majority of people, it's only positive experiences that they have with this plant.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by the HomedWell Group. Buying a house? Selling your home? Contact Kyle at homedwell.ca today. The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
I
looking forward to seeing her pull this stuff off live. Claire Twitty, and a new song for her. It's new for the podcast as well. It's called Poison in My Cup, and that's the YEB remix. Stoked to have Claire playing our next Blue Light sessions. Again, it's on Friday, April 25th at the Blue Light Studio. Grab a ticket right now and save a little bit of money. Josephine will headline the night, and yes, they're both performers that you see at the Roxy, downtown Vancouver. If you go there ripping it up one night, that's who you're seeing. And for $20, it is a steal. They're both going to clobber the night. Eventbrite.ca. Eventbrite, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca for tickets. You heard a song from Chief State called Deciduous, and you can find that one on their acoustic EP. The Canucks' organ player, by the way, played part of that song at a recent game. The band hit me up on Insta DM, and they were like, dude, did you catch the song at the game? And I was like, oh, that's amazing. I didn't, but so cool, too cool. Lots of really good things happening, by the way, in their camp. Watch for 2025, 2026 to be big years for locals. Chief State, killer live band, by the way. They played my birthday party last December. Just incredible. Okay, so let's get to our final guest of this episode 360, Sunfish actress Brooke Butler, this week's entertainment guest, as always, powered by our good friends at Thrive Management. They're an event staffing agency here in Canada, one of the biggest, one of the best. Sasha runs it like a top. Models, brand ambassadors, operations, sales, TV, film, trade shows, home maintenance, whatever you're looking for. If you need help, talk to my buddy Sasha. They work in major cities across the country. Find out how they can up your next event through thrivemanagement.ca. So you'll know Brooke Butler from her roles in TV series and feature films, as mentioned, Sunfish, but Ozark, The Resident, Animal Kingdom, Creepshow, Magnum PI. She was in All Cheerleaders Die. She was once voted one of Maxim's The Hot 10 Actresses. She burned up the screen this year in A Day to Die alongside of Bruce Willis, Kevin Dillon. She attended this year's Sundance Film Festival as a star, as mentioned, in one of the 10 movies selected for competition, Sunfish and the Other Stories on Green Lake. Incredible.
One of my number one dreams, of course, most people hear about, Oscars and all these huge things, but to get into something like Sundance, Robert Redford's who founded it and started it because he wanted new emerging filmmakers to be able to show what they're capable of outside of the big studios where they have millions and millions of dollar budgets. Mm-hmm. And so to be one of 10 films selected for the competition dramatics section, you're kind of like, what? And all the other films, I've been starting to slowly stream them. They're all beautiful. They're all incredible. It's just people that truly want to tell a story and love their art versus, flying around in capes.
Yeah. And fair enough.
Which is fun too. I'd love to do that. But
they're fun though, right? Like you like Marvel and DC movies.
I love movies in general. There's hardly a movie you're going to bring across me that I'm not going to find something to love. So
yeah, fair enough. And have you been personally to Sundance, checked it out, and got the vibe of the event?
This was my first time. First time everything. It was. I will say I was nervous before because I didn't know what I was walking into, which is, human nature. If you don't know what you're walking into, of course, you're a little anxious. And then I got there and I was like, oh, wow, these are my people. We're all so nerdy and we all like the same things and just want to create weird projects and ideas. So it was fun.
Right? Like, how cool is that? Being part of such a widely known, widely recognized film festival. It's pretty awesome. Brooke grew up just outside of Seattle, loved performing at an early age, acting and singing. She grew up in a sports household. Both her dad and brother played baseball, so was at the Diamond to watch those guys play. But Brooke was also an athlete and ultimately had to decide between going pro in soccer or continuing down the artistic path. She booked a role in stage production of Les Mis at 12, performed at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe at 16, and from there, game on. We talked to Brooke for close to 35 minutes. It's up right now if you want to watch the video at YouTube. She talked about the rejection of being a performer, seeing Kenny Loggins and Annie Lennox in concert, what it was like going to USC, the fact that she has tickets for the Oasis reunion, and the shows that she's been binge watching when she finds time.
Oh gosh, I just finished watching Carrie Russell's show. I thought it was so incredible. My brain is so tired. The Diplomat. I just finished watching that. I love that. I love movies, so I love like action, CIA, thriller kinds of things.
Will you take movies over series?
I go back and forth. It really depends what mood I'm in. I love anything that has to do with like the Viking Age. I love that stuff.
It's
like
so good because there's some truth to everything we see too, right? Like that is legit history.
Like anything history. I also am a huge World War II buff. So usually to fall asleep, I'll say to my husband, like, oh, it's been such a long day. I need to calm down. Let's turn on some war. I just
my brain needs to calm down. Give me some death. Let's go.
But yeah, World War II, anything World War II documentary. I'm just binging and so interested in the history of how we got where we are. So
right. Because one left turn could have been like we would be Nazis at this point, you know?
People do not realize like how close it came. Like even people don't even talk about the U-boats like in the Atlantic coming towards New York, that if Hitler would have allowed the production of 300 U-boats instead of like 100 or something, which he did, it would be a different country. But it was like he wanted to build like the war naval because he thought that was so cool. But it's like, oh, he could have made one different shore. Anyways, so
it's crazy because those U-boats can't be like there's no like the sonar or whatever, the ping.
We didn't have that yet,
and also weren't registering on it when they did have it.
No, and then by the time they did build the U-boats, we had the sonar and they didn't know, and then we broke the Enigma. And anyways, I digress.
And of course, and the other cool thing about the Second World War is where they would break out pretend tanks. Did you hear about all of that? Like blow up tanks.
Blow up stuff.
Yeah, to make it seem like they're fly over.
That was not Churchill.
There's a lot of tanks down there. Don't go there. You know, like holy shit, man. Like if they hadn't have realized, if they had have noticed, like those aren't real tanks.
Yeah, they were big blows, and that was Churchill's like idea so that they could invade.
Totally. Don't know if you're the same, but I am. I love those historic shows, Vikings, stuff about World War II. I will take that rabbit hole down for a spin. Lots on the horizon for Brooke, by the way, after having a big year in 2024. She was, as mentioned, in Sunfish, catch her in Hell Hath No Fury, and the Robert Ulrich-produced Valley Fever opposite Blake Jenner. As we always do, we went further than what our guests are known for. Brooke shared a near-death driving story, talked about her love of Kevin Costner. We talked a lot about family and the music that she grew up around.
Oh my gosh. I grew up a lot on, my parents were hippies full on. So I grew up around all of that kind of music, like Crosby, Stills and Nash, like Bob Dylan, even like the Beatles and Beach Boys. That was like all the music, Frank Sinatra. And then I also loved Whitney Houston. So I grew up on all that, rock and roll and old time kind of hippie music, which I still love to this day. Like,
I call the stuff that you grew up as a kid, like it's comfort music.
Like every morning I'm like, Crimson and Clover. He's like, I can't hear it again.
Talkcast Podcast entertainment guest visits are powered by Thrive Management, an event staffing agency that provides staffing services across Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, and all of BC. Find out more at thrivemanagement.ca.
Didn't being in it. Creeping in my head, but I said we finished. Used to focus in like Jordan on Ritalin. Now you got me blocked, missing every shot clock. Brooklyn, got nothing on me. Yeah, NYC, fall asleep quicker than me. I can't catch any Z's, you invade every dream. Man, I'm tired of driving around with you loud in the backseat.
You're like cicadas in the night. Every time I let you out, come creeping back inside. Just like cicadas in the night, buzzing around my head. I can't keep you quiet.
The mighty Emily Chambers, and a great song for her called Cicadas. That features Stoop Kids and was recently back and forth with Emily, knowing that she has new music coming soon. And I was like, hey, is there any chance you could pass along some new music? But unfortunately, it's not ready just yet. But I wanted to get you in on that radar as well. Expect new stuff from Emily Chambers soon. And hey, big thanks to this week's guests before we wrap things up. Wide Mouth Mason singer Shaun Verreault, powerlifter Maria Blacutt, and actress Brooke Butler. You are all incredible people. Shaun, dude, I love you, man. Thank you for always supporting me through my time in radio, of course, doing live performances with us multiple times over the year, and of course, for being so open, so honest with this conversation. Maria, you are an inspiration. Keep doing what you do. Absolutely love it. And Brooke, what a fun interview. Thank you for being real fun, that is. And congrats on Sundance and Sunfish once again. Super cool. And tell your hubby to listen to my podcast. Send me music as well. I'd love to hear what he's up to. So let's say night-night to this one. Episode 360, it is bedtime. Brush your teeth, put your PJs on. And once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening, for supporting. If you like what you heard, please do tell your friends about us. It's a big way how we grow. We are part of the Realm.fm network. Lots of fiction, non-fiction podcasts there. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, watch podcasts. Comment and rate our podcast as well. That helps out big time. Search Toddcast Podcast. Huge thanks to all of our excellent sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you know you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. Maybe we'll talk soon and see what's up. And by the way, help us find a sponsor. We will give you a commission. All right? Till next time, don't be an asshole because nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Can you actually change your personality if you want to? How does peer pressure work, and why is it so powerful? Should you ever really trust your gut when you make a big decision? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and each episode of Something You Should Know covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. You'll discover things you can use in your life today, right now, like how to have a great conversation, how to be more courageous, the anatomy of the perfect apology, and much, much more. To date, there are over 1,000 episodes of Something You Should Know, and we've gotten over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. Something You Should Know, wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
Have you ever heard about the 19th century French actress with so many lovers that they formed a lovers' union? Or what about the Aboriginal Australian bandit who faked going into labor just to escape the police, which she did escape from them. It was a great plan. How about the French queen who murdered her rival with poison gloves? I'm Ann Foster, host of the feminist women's history comedy podcast, Vulgar History. Every week I share the saga of a woman from history whose story you probably didn't already know, and you will never forget after you hear it. Sometimes we re-examine well-known people like Cleopatra or Pocahontas, sharing the truth behind their legends. Sometimes we look at the scandalous women you'll never find in a history textbook. Listen to Vulgar History wherever you get podcasts. And if you're curious, the people I was talking about before, the Australian woman is named Marianne Bugg, and the French actress was named Rochelle, no last name, just Rochelle. And the queen who poisoned her rival is Catherine de' Medici. I have episodes about all of them.